Hey, hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Middle-earth. Blazing Blasters started here, and we are going to keep the ball rolling. This is our first campaign using the One Ring 2nd edition. We've already played our kind of Third Age Middle-earth game, so we're setting this one in the Second Age. The same age that the Ring of Power TV show by Amazon coming out is set in. We've already told stories in the Third Age because we wanted to do something new. So this is going to be a 3-player game, at least for now. We have a Wanderer with us playing Targon. We have Zypher playing Baranor. And last but not least, we have Sim playing Halas. We will deviate from the lore probably a little bit, timelines a little bit, just to make things exciting and worthwhile for a role-playing campaign. But we're going to try to keep it as real as possible. But without further ado, let's go ahead and visit the seashore. Right. First time using Foundry 2, so bear with me. If I hit activate, hopefully it brings you guys all with me. You should see everybody see a bay there with a bunch of ships in it?
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay. So far so good. Introduction. And handout. Everybody see it? Awesome. Seagulls wheel over the blue bay of Rommena, their shrill cries carried by salty ocean wind over the solitary isle of Anadune, Westernesse, or Numenore, as it is often called. Their calls drift to the east, across the bay, and across the watchtower of Tol Uinen, finally dying in the whitecaps of the sundering sea called Belargaer. But they are also blown to the west inland upon vast, verdant, and fertile plains, and into the capital city of Armenos, with its spires and beautiful architecture, and then finally to the lofty heights of Meneltarma, the mountain the faithful know as home to the messengers of the Lords of the West. And of gift, this is Numenor, given to Elros, son of Eärendil, who alone stepped foot in the Undying Lands to petition the Valar against Morgoth in the First Age. Numenor has stood for over 800 years as a testament to peace and prosperity. Its men and women, gifted with long lives beyond others of Middle-earth, excel in the construction of ships and buildings. They are exceptional seafarers and wise in the ways of all lore, healing, and the arts. In general, the men of Westernesse do not fear death or begrudge the elves, who dwell in Lindon and Eregion beyond the Sundering Sea. They do not begrudge their immortality. In fact, the line of Elros still visits them after long journeys across the ocean. These days, the Numenorians come to the shores of Middle-earth as explorers and teachers, giving freely and asking nothing in return. Chief among them is Aldarion, heir of Numenor and son of Tar Meneldur, fifth of his line. Even amongst seafaring folk, Aldarion is known as the most skilled. And proud, he has oft-sailed from Rommena against his father's wishes, and even against the desires of Eärendis, his wife. For even though Aldarion's love for his bride is immense, his longing for the sea is ever the greater. In recent years, thanks in part to Aldarion and his guild of venturers, which you guys are probably part of, the maritime presence of Numenor has increased. King Tar Meneldur, in an effort to curb expansion and dissuade his son's wanderlust, has forbid further harvesting of timber from the island. This, of course, did not have the desired effect. The past 50 years, settlements along the coast of Middle-earth have increased, and the haven town of Vinyalondë, at the mouth of the Guathlo, has been established. Promising to return to Westernesse after one more voyage and take up the scepter from his father, has left his wife early in the morning, and now descends the steps from their bedchamber near the docks. He emerges into the salt air and looks at the ships preparing for the long journey to Vinyalondë, where they plan to dwell for a time while even more ships are built for one last sojourn, this time south along the coast of Herod in southern Middle-earth. And so as the scene opens, I'm going to move your token on over here, Sim. There you go. As the scene opens, I'll let you guys, all three of you, kind of role play your way in. But the camera kind of pans up from the water, the rolling whitecaps, the many ships in the bay listing from side to side, the fleet of Aldarion getting ready to set off to the east towards Middle-earth for one last time for a very long journey. And he's kind of descending from the tower, and all the seafarers are getting ready for the journey. I'll let you guys take it away.
He stands and looks out on the docks, and his face is filled with hope. He looks proudly out on this bay and the many ships, and stares for some time, obviously thinking of the future and his dreams, and then turns to his brother who is near him and smiles.
Baranor, brother to Targon, is by his right-hand side. Anyone who knows the two brothers always know that Baranor is always on the right-hand side of Targon. Most people don't look directly at Baranor. His facial features generally are in between a scowl and a what can only be termed as gnashing of teeth. Most people would term it as a very dour look, but it's his demeanor, for he has seen things outside the realm of the city, outside the protection of civilization, and he has felt and taken upon himself that he must not only protect his brother but also his company, his brethren. He doesn't stand as tall as Targon, but what he lacks in height he makes up in his swiftness. Baranor is also called Baranor the Swift. When he moves, it's very hard to make out the actual steps that mark his movement. He seems to be always moving in a slight blur to the rest of his company. As he stands next to Targon, looking out into the ocean, past the bay, past the towers that mark the entrance to the bay, he looks at the ships that are being prepared. He has, at the same time, both excitement and a pang of fear mixed with anxiety. He knows what awaits them is great adventure, but he also looks back at the spires and the towers that make up this fine city and can't shake the feeling that he may not be back for a long, long time, if ever. But those thoughts are quickly pushed aside, knowing that he's by Targon's side, that together, whenever they have adventured, his brother has never led him astray. With all these thoughts swimming in his mind, Baranor looks up to Targon and smiles back. It seems Aldarion has chosen to ignore the king's wishes.
Targon looks back at him and his smile grows broader. He says, my brother. Aldarion has the sea in his blood. He will answer his father's call, I am sure of it, but to venture out once more, who can deny that call? It is in our blood. And he closes his eyes for a second and just inhales the salt air and listens to the call of the gulls. But also behind that, beyond it, the noises of the city. This city fair beyond all other cities of men in the Middle-earth. And he opens his eyes again, looks at his brother and says, I cannot help but notice, my brother, that even on a day such as this, even when we set sail to restore the name and the fortunes of the line of Nimruzir, you still look troubled. I see hope in your eyes, but also that brow is always furrowed.
I can't help it. Brother, ever since the fates that befell our line and our house, I cannot explain why it happened to us, of all people. Were we not fair? Were we not just? But what can one say about threads that fate weaves into our lives? No, I am happy, actually joyous, though my face doesn't show it, that I am with you again, with Aldarion again, going out into the wide world, seeking adventure. But there is a part of me that I cannot deny, a part that screams within, reminds me again and again to take one last look at this place, always. I cannot place that feeling. It is as if this very moment shall never be repeated, shall never be achieved, shall never be visited.
All moments are fleeting, brother, but sometimes, and he sort of pauses, and Baranor could tell that when he mentioned kind of the fall of their house, he could see that Targon's brow furrowed and that it does pain him too. He says, I like to think that sometimes, when we fall, it is to rise again to greater heights, and so shall it be for our line. On this day we begin that rise again, brother. On this day we set forth with the heir to this great throne. And he kind of looks back a little bit as if he could somehow see across the miles to the capital city, and then realizing that that's not at all possible, he immediately kind of glances back. Says, we begin this voyage, and I truly believe that the fortunes of our line will be restored. After all, as you said, brother, we are together. And his smile returns and grows broad again. He says, and together, what can we not accomplish? What is beyond our means? What is beyond our reach? Nothing worth having. And he smiles.
Baranor starts nodding his head, and for a brief moment he smiles back to Targon, almost a toothy smile. Then it shall be so, my brother, it shall be. You have my oath this day that we shall restore the line of Nimruzir back to its glory, you and I together, through our deeds, through our actions. And it will not be fate, but it will be you and me, with our hands and our wits and the strengths in our heart and our body. We shall restore line of Nimruzir.
And Targon nods. The smile's still on his face, but he also looks kind of touched by hearing this from his brother. And he says, "And never forget, my brother, that our people walk in the favour of the Valar. And with that, what evil can truly befall us, even should we fall on the battlefield. It is not such a grave fate.
Indeed, it is not.
We are blessed in the way that few men know. We are blessed to have the blood of Westernesse in the favour of the Valar. And on a day such as this, I feel it. I feel blessed." And he laughs. He says, "Perhaps my spirits have grown too high." And he chuckles to himself. "Well, shall we descend towards the ships? Our journey awaits."
Yes, I do not wish to keep Aldarion waiting too long. You know how he gets. Patience is not one of his virtues.
And Targon chuckles and said, "Then let us not keep him waiting." And he starts walking down the steps towards the harbour with a spring in his step.
And Baranor follows almost like without effort, leaping 3 steps at a time down. But at the same time, given how tall Targon's also taking 3 steps at a time going down. And together they seem to be in lockstep, while one is just bounding down, the other is just walking regally down.
The camera pounds up as you head down towards the docks, the wooden planks creaking beneath your boots as you bound down towards the sea. There's a small flock of seagulls that flutters up into the air, disappearing into the rising sun in the east as they head out to the sea, kind of circling higher and higher into the leaf sight, catching the updrafts of the wind. Hallis, what are you up to?
Yeah, Halius is, you see him down at the dock, helping the men prepare the ships for the journey. And he'll walk them from person to person, giving them aid in their endeavor, moving supplies and helping people properly equip their equipment and stuff. And he'll stop at one trying to lift a heavy chest. Lad, you're doing it all wrong. You gotta do it proper if you want to survive the journey and be in good spirits and health. You have to start at the beginning. You lift with those knees, not your shoulders, not your back. Doing so otherwise, down the road you'll be of no use if we need you.
You're talking to one of the seamen, but you know by the name of Sildaner. He kind of straightens up. And me back. You're always quick to give advice, Hallis. But too often you don't follow it yourself. Your back only doesn't hurt because you're sleeping off last night. I think you still have some of that wine running in your veins. I can smell it from here. Or is that my own jerkin? He kind of smells his own outfit. Either way, this brisk, fresh sea air is doing me quite a bit of good. Although when we set sail, I don't know if the listing to and fro will do the same.
Well, I'm sure it'd help purge whatever poison you drank last night. For I enjoyed the wine. But my constitution is strong. It does not affect me as you, apparently. And yes, it is your jerkin that smells. But nonetheless, the listing will play a toll for many bodies, I fear. But it is for the better. It prepares the soul for the journey. rebuilds you, so to speak.
Kind of overhearing the two of you is another older seagoer by the name of Harthon. He has a patch over his left eye. Aye, the both of you deserved a raucous good night. We'll not be having another one of those for many long weeks. It's nigh 4 of them to cross the sundering sea. How many times have you been across, Sildonner? He kind of shakes his head. None? Well, you're in for a treat. 4 long weeks. Nothing to look at. Except breaking waves. Not even a seabird that far out in the Belargaer. It's a desert out there. A desert of seawater. But it can turn treacherous. Sweep a man right over the deck. I don't mean to scare you, Sildonner. Hallis here. He's made a trip or 2 in his day. Keep him by your side, Hallis. Don't let anything happen to the young sea pup here.
Hallis will smile. Yes. Well, Harthon does speak the truth. It is very unlikely that you will be swept aside. For I fear you are poised to enjoy the full journey. But never fear. I will look out for you and many other sea pups that are joining us, as I expect Harthon will do as well. But again, like I said, the journey starts, and it's how you prepared for it. It's how you meet it.
Well, before we set off, I will be sure to utter a blessing to the Lady of the Sea. You know of her, right? Hallis, give me a lore check.
Well, you threatened me with this, didn't you?
I did! But alas, your lore is favored. So you get to roll 2 feet die.
Never favored.
Well, at least that eye didn't count. A failure. But at least since you rolled 2 of them, you didn't have to get that eye. So you're a seasoned seagoer, and you are, you bless the Valar and the Lords of the West as much as anybody else in Numenor. But you've never been one for superstition when setting out to sea. And so you're not able to really confirm what Sildonner is talking about. So Harthon kind of comes up and says, don't ask Hallis. If you want those stories, wait till we're at sea and we'll tell you more. Nothing to be afraid of, though.
I've seen people sing praise or whatever. They seem to think that helps them. I've seen it go south in a fall. But I've seen it work. But yes, Harthon is correct. I don't pay attention to the superstition. It's either it is our time or it's not.
All right, then. Back to loading these casks, back to loading these crates. Sooner we're done, the sooner we're off to sea and we can get some much needed relaxation. The weather report seems to be quite in our favor this morning. And Harthon kind of looks up the docks, down the steps where Targon and Baranor are kind of heading down to the ships.
As Targon approaches, they can see he's got a pack which seems to be quite heavily loaded because his mail shirt is in there because he knows enough of the sea not to wear armor. But that's probably about as much as he does know. He's been on ships before, but he's never sailed himself. He's wearing well-made but slightly worn clothing, so he does look like he's potentially Yeah, the actual sort of style and make of the clothing would be worn by someone of wealth, but his stuff is a little old and worn, just not in holes or anything, but it looks like potentially a wealthy family that's not quite as wealthy as they used to be. And you can see him, he does stand, even amongst such tall people as there are in Numenor, he at sort of 6'8" is standing way above most people. He's a noticeable figure as he walks down the docks. He looks hopeful, happy, and he appears to be singing something quietly in Elvish to himself.
Targon, to Targon's right is Baranor. Baranor is not as tall as Targon, maybe around 6 feet. He also has a large backpack with all his armor. There seems to be a bow kind of slung across his shoulders with a quiver full of arrows. To his left, he has a large sword. He doesn't seem as joyous as his brother. He definitely, has a scowl on his face. But at the same time, he looks across and sees Hallis, and the scowl turns to a smirk. And he kind of, Baranor, takes his hand and cups it around his mouth, and he screams, "Lift with your knees, lads! Lift with your knees!"
Are you talking to Sildana? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kind of like shouting across towards everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing how Hallis talks about the knees.
Yeah,
Alice.
You hear Sildana's voice carries off. He kind of looks at you and gives you a thumb up. And you hear a distant voice. "Already been told that once, but I got it."
Yes. Verno speaks the truth. It's all about longevity in these journeys. Hurt yourself now, you're no good to us later.
And then as Baranor comes closer, and remember, row with your knees as well. And if you were to fall aboard, then brace the ship with your knees. It's always the knees with Hallis.
Yes. Well, they are a much needed feature in a journey.
And as Baranor gets closer, he now starts charging towards Hallis. Eventually comes to his side and almost like clotheslined him, but last minute he kind of pulls back and kind of gives him a bear hug.
Yeah, Hallis is happy to see his Baranor and Targon the Tall, and slaps at Baranor's back as he's getting his bear hug. It has been a little while.
Indeed it has. I believe the tavern last night anointed you with its many wares.
As did most. But only a fool leaves town on a journey without visiting the tavern.
Without the blessings of the maidens of the tavern as well, by the looks of it.
Yes, it will leave a lasting impression, long enough to last me about 4 to 5 weeks. After all, the ocean is quite lonely at times.
And as they're speaking, Targon reaches them. His brother had run past him, and now he's sort of catching up. And he sort of breaks off from his song, and as he sees them, and says, "Ah, Hallis, it's good to see you. How do you fare?"
Well, I'm here, one piece, happy, and ready to go. That should be enough.
Ah, the sea calls us all, does she not?
Yes.
He looks out to sea and smiles.
And how
here
fares
I-
you?
Sorry?
Oh, Alias will ask, how fares you? I did not see much of you last night.
Ah, good. No, I made my way to my bed early. I was there for the first drink, but then to my prayers and to my bed. And he smiles and said, I would never keep up with you two anyway.
Yes.
And
Hallis-
here I thought
Hallis-
that this... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that Hallis knows that Targon's the kind of the clean living one in the family.
And here I thought that this would be a boring adventure. Now that we have Hallis by our side, I am sure we'll get down to shenanigans in no time.
Oh yes. As soon as we set sail, all the fun starts.
Like the brawl you started last night, Hallis.
Well, I can only bear so much of speaking ill of the lady I was with last night. After all, we're all not, what can I say, beggars. Well, she was a good lass. But I shall not let my choices be made fun of, and he'll smile, knowing that he just, he picked a moderate-looking one to go spend the night with.
Targon seems to be seeing it on a completely different level, and he nods solemnly and says, defending the virtue of the fair is ever a worthy pursuit, my friend.
Yes, yes. That it is. You start laughing. But, nonetheless, it's all part of the excitement, I would think.
Yes, indeed. She was fair as the moon and the stars right above us. Indeed, Hallis. And Baranor starts like kind of elbowing him in the ribs.
Yes, he's not lying. It was like the moon. Slightly bumpy. A few holes. Very much like the moon.
Targon smiles, but he also blushes slightly and says, well, we really should be getting aboard. It is good to see you again, Hallis. I will leave you and my brother to talk. And he walks up the gangplank and onto the ship. And you see as soon as he's on board, he finds a little kind of spare area of the deck, goes down onto, draws his sword, goes down onto one knee and puts his sword on the deck. The point of his sword on the deck, and then you can hear him muttering prayers to Ulmo and to Varda, for clear nights for navigation and for calm seas, and he's quite devout, to the point at which most of the sailors probably consider it quite weird. But he's not fazed by that.
Before we degenerate too much further into paladin type roleplay, I want the three of you to all make me awareness checks. Yours, though, Targon, would be with a one dice penalty, just because you're kind of busy doing what you're doing. I just want to see if you guys are aware of something.
How do I do the one dice penalty?
So when it pops up, there'll be like a little scale of dice, and just click once on the left.
Ah, I see. Thank you. Oh dear.
So a penalty is by clicking to the left, and
Yep.
bonus is by clicking to the
Yep,
right? Okay,
yep.
cool.
Like there's like a. You guys get rolled a bunch
Wow.
of eyes. You guys are rolling a bunch of eyes. You're not seeing much. So you can see, you don't know what exactly it is, but you see a small diminutive figure kind of skirting along the side of your vessel. It's covered in a black cloak, kind of draped widely over its frame. And at one point, it kind of leaps, trying to get onto your vessel, and then falls back onto the deck. You don't hear the voice, but you kind of can sense frustration in the body language. And then again, it tries to leap onto the boat. This time, though, kind of almost makes it and grabs a hold of the boat. And you know if the boat's kind of moored to a dock, how it kind of goes back and forth to back and forth. And you just you can't see the face or anything now, but this figure is like kind of stretched between the dock and the boat. Like it's probably just praying that the boat does not stray too far off, or it's just going to go. This person's going to go right into the drink.
Baranor calls out, "Hey, you there!"
And it's a female
You need
voice.
some help?
It's a female voice that answers, and she sounds very frightened. Yes. I think I need some help. I am not quite dressed to go swimming this fine morning. Please help.
Yeah, Helios wouldn't hesitate to go over and grab the back of her clothing and pull her back towards him.
You pull her back towards you, and this cloaked figure, she kind of spins and falls right onto her bottom, onto the dock. You hear the planks kind of creak, and then she stands up and pulls her shoulders back, and then pulls back her cloak. Oh, thank you very much, and not a word of this to my husband, you know.
Candace, what are you doing here?
She kind of looks to Targon, who's on the boat, still saying his prayer, probably oblivious to what's going on, and looks to Hallis and Baranor. I'm simply seeing my husband off on a long journey. Is there anything wrong with that? She's obviously kind of hiding something.
Well, usually we use the gangplank to enter a ship.
And you seem to be cloaked. Why is it that you do not wish to be seen?
My husband has always said that he would rather not see me upon departing from these shores. He leaves me in the morning with a kiss, breakfast, sometimes not to see each other again in 15 years. Only wish to see him one last time, although I know it would anger him, and to give him this. And she holds out to, I think Baranor is probably of a slightly higher house than Hallis. It sounds like Hallis is more of a seagoer. Kind of holds it to Baranor to kind of examine.
Baranor takes it with both hands.
Yeah.
I shall make it sure that Aldarion gets this.
And it looks like it's a necklace or a piece of jewelry, and it's like pearls, kind of a pearl necklace basically. And in the middle of it, there's a pendant with a diamond in it that seems to catch the morning light and just even more than reflect the light shine of its own inner beauty. And you guys could either roll craft or lore to know a little bit more about this thing, if you would like.
Yes, more failures is what I need.
Low level, baby.
Wow.
Nothing.
Wow.
She kind of looks at yours is favored too.
Yes, it doesn't help.
Wow. She looks at the necklace and says, "It is a thing of beauty. The diamond in the middle I know not much of, but these pearls around the edge. Aldarion had this piece made for me after his first journey. These are pearls he himself collected off the shore of Lindon, where the elves dwell. Keep it, Baranor. You may find that it brings you hope in the time that you need it most. And if my husband's heart should ever flag and fail him, well, then you know the time would be right to give it to him and know that his love waits back home for him, always in the west. For I love Numenor with all my heart and the green and growing things upon it, and I will never leave. It is a wound between us that I fear will never heal.
Lady Erindis, as long as Aldarion is by my side, no harm shall come to him. You have my oath on that. He will return back to his rightful place. He will return back to you. It is this one last journey that he must make. The one last goodbye that he must give his other love before he comes forever back to you.
Wise words. Wise words sometimes come from House Nimruzir. Your blood was once lofty and high, Baranor. It is my wishes that you regain your status of old. I've always liked your brother. He's a responsible sort. Don't stray too far from him.
That he is. He is the shining light of our house. And no, I shall not stray afar from him unless it is to protect him. For that is my charter, that is my charge. It is the protection of this ship and its crew. It is to make all oaths whole again, like mine to you. And I have Hallis by my side. Together we will ensure that Aldarion comes back to you, Lady Erindis.
Yes. We shall make it show.
She kind of pulls herself back straight and brings the hood up on her cloak again, seemingly to dim her beauty. Both of you notice that she's probably one of the most beautiful women you've ever seen in your life. And as she turns to go, it's even that your heart might drop a little bit with her going. Not in a paladin way, but in a wholesome,
But as she's
fair
turning to
maiden
go,
token way.
Baranor looks around. Baranor looks around and he says, Lady Erindis, do not leave just yet. Fulfill that wish that you wanted to fulfill. Why don't you stand here by these crates? When Aldarion comes, you will be able to see him, but he will not be able to see you. And as the ship leaves, you will be able to see the ship, but he not you. Is that not what you wish?
It is. It is what I wish, but sometimes, Baranor, what we wish tortures our heart all the more. It is the pain that I would not pass by for one instant. Yes, I will stay here, Baranor. I will be but a dock worker.
No one will disturb you. No one will cause you any harm here. No one need not know who you are. You are safe. Be here as long as you wish to be. Mourn the way you wish to mourn. But remember, like I said, Aldarion will return.
She nods, and instead of going back towards the city of Rommena, she kind of heads out towards the end of the dock, probably I don't know, 30 meters distant from you now, and you see kind of her form silhouetted against the sun as it rises higher and higher over the ocean in the east. And you can hear then her voice kind of raised in song as she starts to sing a traditional song of setting out in Numenor. The Lay of Calm Seas. In Numenore, in Westernesse, in the land of gift where the white tree stays, we beseech thee, O Uinen, for calm seas and waves. Tame the waters, still the storms, tempter thy husband, O Ase redeemed. For today we stray across the waves and waters, waiting for the lords of the west to call us home, to the white shore where Earendor once stood, but not before, but not before. And
I see. So it's okay when she calls on the Valar.
and I will give you guys who heard the song, so not Targon, but other two of you, one temporary hope point to spend whenever you should need it during this session, as you recall her fair words rising into the sky. So.
Yeah, Alias, as he hears the song, kind of wipes away a tear. The song is such beauty.
Indeed it is. We are blessed, Alice, for a maiden as fair as Erendis sees us off, for a captain as mighty as Aldarion leads us, and then my brother Targon being with us in itself is the recipe for success. Now, you and I, we are here to ensure that everyone is safe all the time.
Yes. The blessing and the curse.
The blessing and the curse.
But only one few can take. He'll slap Baron on the back. I believe that's us. He'll smile.
It is us. But after all, some deeds should not tarnish men like Targon and Aldarion. That's what we are here for.
Aye. That is correct. And there's also Robert, probably some of the most experienced.
Baronard nods. He takes the necklace and wraps it back in the silk cloth that it was presented in, and he puts it deep in his tunic where it would be safe. I shall honor you, Lady Erendis, and this shall be Aldarion's in his time of need. When he, if lost, will see this and remember you and find his way back home. And with that, Baranor starts climbing the gangplank towards his brother Targon. There is almost like you can see a twitch in his body for being away from his brother for that long. Like you can see, like there's this unseen pull back to be by his brother's right hand side.
Yeah, the Alias, as he watches, knows full well how close the brothers are. He'll turn and take one last look at the land and breathe a deep breath. Maybe some time before I see this again, but yet another journey lays forward. And he kind of smiled to himself and start going up the gangplank as well.
As you do that, Aldarion eventually does, after checking several other ships, kind of make his way towards your guys and addresses you down from the dock. You're the last kind of ship he has to check in his on his list, basically. And before he gets on his vessel, which is like the largest in the entire group, he kind of stops on the dock, not knowing that Erendis is at the end of the dock, kind of watching him, cloaked. He calls up to you guys. Ahoy there! Who is it on this vessel? Who deems himself brave enough to face the wrathful waters of Belargaer? I'm butchering that. I think.
Immediately, Targon steps forward and he looks down and says, "I do,
Belargaer.
my lord."
Targon of Nimruzir. Is your shifty brother aboard as well? If so, they might want to hide the brandy.
Wherever they hid it, my lord, he would find it. He has a nose for these things. And he chuckles. But he has a true heart, my lord, as you know.
Indeed. There is no one I would rather have by my side, either in the ballroom or on the battlefield, than your brother Baranor. Give him my best wishes. And is that Hallis I see behind you? Well met, old man. It's been some time.
It is me, and it is very well met.
Another journey lies before us. Soon we shall sail into the east, into the rising sun, and soon be surrounded by nothingness. Just the waves, the white caps. Ere long, even the gulls will be behind us, Hallis. Just like old times, eh?
Yes, and it truly is the only place a man can find peace.
Very well. Well, the three of you, much blessings. I shall go forth with the thought of my bride still in my mind. Let us hope it is not 15 years before I see her again. My thoughts ever dwell back to the west, but between me and you, my heart will always lie with the sea. It is something in my bones that I just cannot shake. It is, you would not ask I'm trying to think of animals that would be on this island. You would not ask a stag to be a gull, or vice versa. I cannot be what I am not. I think the three of you would understand.
The call of the sea is ever strong in the blood of Westernesse, my lord. I am sure your bride understands.
Very well. All aboard? We will raise sail. Can you see Erendis? I'm gonna click her. I'm gonna toggle her visibility. Can you see?
Yeah.
it?
She's gone now.
Now
yeah.
she's gone. Okay. So that kind of puts them on like a GM layer. It sounds like so. It's good. Okay. All right. Any other further role play before we set off?
No, Baranor has kind of made his way up to the crow's nest, and when Aldarion comes on board, he kind of looks down and sees him talking to Targon and Hallis and smiles, and he knows like the time has come, the journey's going to start.
Let's just say you're on the same boat as him. That makes it easier.
Yeah.
Yep. And as he comes aboard, quickly you see many of the deckhands scurrying about the ship, pulling on ropes, tacking and jibing. I don't know what the all the terms. I know zero nautical terminology. But soon the wind seems to kick up out of the west. The sails billow in the sunlight, and your ship, along with let's say about a dozen others, start to roll through the open, smooth waters of the bay, and you start to go out onto the wide open ocean. And I'm wanting to activate this. Let's see if it works. Activate. You guys should all see that. Does it work for you?
Yep.
Just tell me, because I've never used the forge or foundry before, so.
Yep. See yourselves.
So I'll let you guys kind of role play as we kind of head out and leave the safety of Numenor out into the open waters.
So as we are kind of heading out to open waters, Baranor is on the, sitting in the crow's nest, high above, keeping his eyes on the horizon. Now that they're in their ship out towards the ocean, his demeanor and his outlook changes, and people on the deck can now hear him singing. I'm the man before the mast that plows the raging seas, and on this simple subject will you please enlighten me? Common sailors we are called, come tell me the reason why, and on this simple subject I'll reply. Don't call us common sailors anymore, don't call us common sailors anymore. Good things to you we bring, don't call us common men anymore. For we are the Numenorians, that sail the ocean's blue.
The salt spray goes in your face, your hair soon is slick with seawater as you leave the bay, heading out onto the open ocean, and the sounds of the city are no more. It's just the open water behind you, and you hear Aldarion from the helm. To port, swing it around port! And you kind of feel the boat list to the port side, and you head out onto the open water. Anything else? Nice song, by the way. Love it.
We are back, baby.
We back, baby.
I will mention that, by the way, that Baranor knows more than most about the reasons for his brother's behaviour. He became convinced in his teenage years that the way to restore the fortunes of their house was to restore their reputation for virtue. And he's ever since then he's been trying to make himself sort of purer than pure, because he feels that only by proving virtue and valor in arms that will they ever restore the name of their house, and with it their fortunes. You think Baranor also knows that this is actually more of a strain on Targon than he likes to admit, but he never lets the mask slip.
Baranor, for his also, he knows what his brother is trying to do, and he knows that eventually only his brother can succeed in what he's trying to do, for Baranor doesn't have what it takes to be virtuous. But he has what it takes to make sure that his brother remains virtuous in the face of all that they could face. And a part of it is why he looks up to Targon, for he has chosen a path that is not easy for him, while Baranor continues to do what is always easy for him.
And for his part, you think that Baranor, you're pretty sure that Targon kind of slightly lives vicariously through Baranor. That's his side of the equation, that he's happy to see Baranor do the things he doesn't let himself do, and he kind of like hears the stories in the morning and gives a little smile. And that part of him is just kind of living it vicariously.
Indeed. And Baranor kind of screams down, "Hallis, you sleep, Ed? You asleep, old man?"
Nay. Kind of emerge. I am just going through, checking on supplies and stuff, making sure everything's properly stowed.
Did you find the brandy yet?
You kind of look at Marinor and wink. I don't know of this brandy that you speak of. Is there some on the ship? Perhaps we should go look at the bow.
I shall join you presently.
You kind of smile and walk forward to the front of the ship.
Baranor starts making his way down the crow's nest, and it's kind of swinging, from line to line, from sail to sail. And anyone watching can see kind of it's almost elvish the way he moves on these very precarious perches. Eventually, kind of lands on the deck. He looks around, sees Targon, nods towards him, looks up towards where the what do you call what's the nautical term for the wheel? The wheel. Nautical wheel, and he kind of bows towards Aldarion and kind of gives him a flourish, and then kind of skips and hops towards the bow. As he goes by, he sees the young sea pup that Hallis was talking to. Ah, I see you're using your knees, Sildaner. Good, good. Remember, listen to Hallis at all times. When in doubt, do what Hallis does.
Yes.
Especially the drinking.
Yeah, the drinking. I don't think... Hawthorne? I don't think we should touch the brandy just yet, should we? That would be most wise, Sildana. Leave the brandy until at least mid-journey. It was then you will crave it most. And then Sildana kind of yells back to Baranor. I got it! But, Hawthorne here says to leave the brandy at least until mid-journey. That's when we'll want it most.
Targon hears that shout from where he is, and you can see him chuckling from where he is.
Lad, by mid-journey, it is not going to be the brandy that we will be needing the most. But I will let you discover that part of the journey for yourself. And he kind of starts walking towards the bow, and he kind of shakes his head. The young sea pups.
He looks like kind of confused and stumbles away. Food? Water? Fruit? Yes, we'll probably want fruit. He goes down below decks.
Alice, what do you think of this crew? We seem to have a few veterans like yourself and Harthon, but are the rest of them young sea pups with no experience?
From what I've seen, the young sea pups are just lightly seasoned. But everybody must start somewhere.
Well, I hope for their sake we do not hit too much of an adventure. I do hope they enjoy their journey enough to come back.
Without the excitement, there is nothing but boredom. Without the boredom, there is nothing but excitement. They'll find their balance. It will call to them. The sea is a mistress of many callings and many ways of attracting people.
That she is. Tell me, do you know where we are sailing towards? What our goal is? Did Aldarion tell you anything about it?
Being honest, I don't think I failed to ask. I don't think I asked him at all. To be fair?
You probably would know. It'd be common knowledge. Over the past 50 years or so, maybe a little bit more, they've built a pretty large town, or even a small city, on the shores of Middle Earth. It's kind of at the mouth of a river called the Guathalo.
Oh yeah, that was in your intro, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's where we're traveling to. But what is are we carrying any provisions to that place, or are we Like going to go like catch like fish or something and take it there, or
Basically, sail there, stay there for a while, get more lumber to build ships, but actually wait for a while to get more ships, and then do exploration south towards Herod.
Okay. So we don't have anything on our ship that we're taking there for now. Okay, cool.
But yes, I know as much as you do, I'm sure. I'm going to stop there and rebuild and reprovision, explore more. But if there is any other details that I do not know. And you'll hand him Baranor a little wine flask. But there is brandy.
There is always brandy, my friend. And with that, Baranor takes a swig of the flask. And good brandy at that. Well,
we are on the ship with nothing but the best, I'm sure.
now that we have properly commemorated our journey with the brandy of our people, I think it's time to get to work. Though it doesn't quite sit right with me, but we shall need to get to work.
Yes. Well, it's never a pleasure cruise after all. At least not at the start. Somebody's got to teach these sea pups how to be true sailors of the sea.
Baranor nods and starts walking back towards Targon and towards the mid decks, and kind of singing the same song about not calling us the common sailor.
So speaking of getting to work, here's kind of the roles you can have on this maritime journey. Now this is obviously meant for overland journeys, but you can kind of extrapolate it to a maritime kind of environment, if you would. Scouts would be, lookouts, that sort of thing. Somebody, looking and helping Aldarion with the charts and the navigation. The skills you would use for those checks would be explore. There would probably be people on the lookout doing, looking out for hazards, that sort of thing, looking out for storms on the horizon. And the skill you would use for that would be awareness. And then there's hunters hunting. So I think probably the correlate on a vessel would be like a quartermaster, or maybe even somebody does a little fishing, or somebody that doles out the rations and that sort of thing. So I'll let you guys kind of role play like what type of job you would fall into, and you can double up on them if you want. If you want, I'll just restrict the options when we roll for the dice.
Sure.
So whatever fits the role play.
Yes. So Baranor would be, for him, awareness and hunting are both his preferred skills. So, he would take. There would definitely be shifts for lookout. So he will take one shift where he's sitting on the crow's nest and looking out, to in all directions towards the horizon, to the skies, at the water, to see if he sees anything untoward that is around the ship. And then if he sees anything, he kind of shouts down towards Aldarion, giving him instructions on, how to like jib and tack the ship to avoid anything that seems untoward. And then in another shift, he would help with the ropes and the nets and try and gather fish for their journey.
Targon would also take a spell at that, but he'd also take part in the helping with navigation, partly because he has some skill in that area, but also because it gives him a chance to spend some time with Aldarion, and he's always kind of trying to probe for chances, probe for information about where they're going, what they're likely to find, and kind of drop hints to Aldarion that if he's looking for men of valor keen to make their name. That he and his brother and their friend Hallis are very keen, and they're the men for any job. So he's kind of killed two birds with one stone there.
I wonder if we want to start some sort of tracker calling like the Rise of House Nimilzer or something like that. Like a little homebrew rule where you can accrue deeds, to bring...
Cool.
Yeah.
Does that sound cool to you guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Deeds,
And like if you...
deeds and misdeeds,
Yeah,
both of them.
yeah.
I was going to say deeds and misdeeds.
Right.
Yeah, thinking about where we might go long term. Yeah.
Infamy and glory. So, okay. Yeah, so, the days start to roll by. Fair weather for the most part. Actually, let me do a little... See what the weather's like here. Yeah, fair weather continues on for the first week, and I'm going to pull up the journey rules here. Just kind of a homebrew version for sea travels. There you go. I thought the core rules don't cover ocean journeys, so we can be creative in general. So this is how they'll probably work when we're on the ocean. I will estimate the amount of time the journey will take. It can be assumed that long journeys will start in the time of the year that is favorable, so we'll make that a constant. Step 1, me determines the number of journey events that will take place, and this one it's going to be 3. Step 2, the guide makes a travel roll. +1 dice if somebody can help him with a lore check. That the guide is going to be Aldarion in this instance. If somebody can do a extra lore, that will give me a bonus. If successful, the number of events is unchanged. If I fail, it's increased by 1. If I get a Gandalf, it's decreased by 1. If I get an eye, it's increased by 2. And then for each event, we just go through them. We determine the weather, and then we roll for the event targets. That'll be like the jobs we discussed. And then we're going to role play it out. So that's kind of Wanderer and... not Wanderer, but Sim and Zypher has played the Wandering before, so they're kind of familiar with how the journeys work. But that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you.
All right, so the days start to roll past. The weather is good. One day, Aldarion and Targon are up. I want to see if Targon, you can help him with a lore check. So one day, you guys are up in the helm, kind of looking over the nautical charts. And let's say the previous 2 days, like at night, it was very cloudy, so you couldn't see the stars. And Aldarion's kind of going over and pointing several different routes that they think he should go. Did you just roll?
Oh, I got a 9. I don't know how I managed that because I've got
because you rolled an eye in one of them and a 2 in the other, so you rolled a 9. You guys are rolling awful. So
Yeah.
What does that look like? How you really can't help him, unfortunately, in this instance.
Yeah, basically, Targon's been kind of hanging around Aldarion for a while, trying to, probe him for information. So when Aldarion turns back to him, asking for help with something, he's just so nonplussed that he kind of panics, and his mind goes completely blank. And he kind of babbles something from memory that's completely irrelevant. And then just kind of apologizes and goes quiet.
At any rate, I will be relying more and more on House Nibbles. How does it go? Nibble what?
Nimilzor.
Nimilzer. I shall be relying on House Nimilzer more and more on this journey, Targon. Yourself, in particular, have established a name for yourself as extremely trustworthy.
And Targon's been looking a little bit, red-faced after his complete sort of fluffing his opportunity. So he takes him a second to really register what Aldarion's just said, and then he stops and nods and looks grateful and says, "My lord, I ask only for the opportunity to prove myself and the loyalty of my house. You know the fate that has befallen us, and My brother and I, we wish to change the fortunes of our house, our home, our family. And he looks like he's going to say more, but he kind of he's thinking back as to, you know, what has befallen his ancestors, and he kind of chokes up slightly and then just nods.
No more words are needed, Targon. None among us is completely without blame in this world. Some may say that the way I leave on these journeys and disobey my father is cause for shame. And I certainly see their point. But what I also know is that we also have time given to us on this Middle Earth, and time that we can use to better our circumstances. To better days, to more hopeful days, Targon. Now,
To better days, my lord.
oh, give me that sextant. He kind of flips and grabs it from you, and he'll make a roll here. Roll.
Yeah, Tiger was holding it the wrong way up because he's all over the place at the moment.
He's very good. Probably will not fail. His target number is only 13. Let's see. So...
Great success.
Yep. Extraordinary success. He rolled two sixes.
Nice.
And did not roll a Gandalf. So the weather remains calm, and you guys continue on your journey for another week. And why doesn't somebody, let's say for this first event then, so there's going to be 3 of them. The first one, let's say that Targon is Scout, Hallis is Lookout, and Baranor is Hunter. Does that work?
That's fine.
Cool.
And somebody roll me a d6.
Oh, sorry, I was rolling the explore.
Yeah, you can just type it into the chat window. The same syntax basically as the Roll20. Yep. 3. Is that Hallis?
What? No, that was Targon.
Yeah. It's
There's a 3.
D6 from me.
It's a 3. Yeah, the Hallis is the Lookout, so it would be him. Him that would be up.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now
D6.
Yeah, well, now you roll a d12. And here's the events table. So a 4. Mishap. If the roll fails, add 1 day to the length of the journey. So we'll just kind of say that it takes like another week, and the target gains 1 additional fatigue. And everybody, if you fail, also gains 2 fatigues. So let's see what happens here. All right, so one day there is a storm brewing on the horizon about a week from now, Hallis, and you're up in the crow's nest. You're on the lookout, and you can role play with me like how this happens. Roll awareness for me, and then you can kind of role play the result.
Who rolls awareness?
You do.
Huzzah!
Come on. Oh, an eye!
But it's favorite.
Oh, it is! Great success then.
Hey!
Hey!
Finally!
All right, so tell me how. So the journey is going to be shortened now. So tell me how you spot a storm on the horizon and tell Aldarion on how to avoid it.
So as Alias is walking around encouraging the men and hurting them and stuff, and he happens to crawl up the crow's nest to do some scouting and relieve the person who was there. A little early, of course.
The person coming down was like, Don't worry, it's all calm sailing from here on out. In my opinion, you could take a nap up there. You will just be just fine.
Well, I've come early so you could take your nap. I don't think I need one up there. It is too much of a sight to see. The horizon is gorgeous.
Indeed it is, Hellas. Indeed it is. But even gorgeous sights become monotonous after weeks and weeks and weeks of the ocean. Oh, how I long for dry land. Vinyalondë! Vinyalondë! I worship thee. I shall fall down upon thy soft green grass and kiss the earth of Vinyalondë.
He is always trying to make people feel better about the situation. Respond. Well, she waits for you yet. But you remember, it's the journey that makes it so sweet.
Indeed, indeed. Wise word, Hallis. Enjoy your watch. And he disappears down the pole.
Yeah, so as he continues climbing up and gets up and kind of looks one direction and, back where they're coming from. And one shall not look into the past. I'd always look into the future. And as he turns to look at the horizon they're heading towards, he sees the colorings off. That cannot be. That is not clear skies. That's a storm. And he'll look down. Oi! And he'll look for what's the guy's name? Can't see. Aldarion. There's a storm approaching.
Is that true? I cannot see it myself. Often my eyes do not fail me on the sea, brave Hallis.
Aye, it is true, and I don't think it's your eyesight. It is very far off the horizon. It gives us enough time to maneuver at least. But it is there.
Very well. We are in your hands. Which way shall I chart a course, Hallis?
I will head towards the north a bit. A few leagues, and you can straighten her back out and get back on course. But we should have some favorable wind as the storm approaches us from the south and messes us.
And so the boat starts to list the port, and it turns to the north. I'll let you role play kind of what happens, how you guys nearly you barely missed a storm. It would have almost taken you out.
So yeah, so as they head north, and you can feel the ship start heaving a little more as the waves get a little choppier and the gust picks up. And if they were heading their normal course, it would have been definitely a side wind. And here this stops and breathes deep. This is gonna get everybody over to sides, and all the brandy that has been drunken will be cast out to the sea.
Very good. Why don't you roll a d6 this time to see who's targeted for the next one? Oh, and it looks like everybody gets... You get 2 fatigue regardless, so everybody mark 2 travel fatigue, just to get in the habit of doing it. Mark it on your sheet there.
Where is that?
Yeah, travel fatigue. What'd you roll, a 5?
Next to load, isn't it? Teague?
Share the load.
There should be a...
Wait, that's hope and shadow.
Isn't it one?
There's a little diamond just next to load.
Oh,
fatigue,
okay,
yep.
2 travel.
Yep,
Yeah,
there
okay.
you go.
How many fatigue?
2.
2.
Would have been worse if it failed. Hallis should be wary.
Yeah, is this supposed to be...
This probably because you have... It's listing your load is 26. Oh, you just loaded up on armor and stuff. You can't wear all that. Throw away that helm. Get rid of some of that stuff. I'd probably just do the leather corselet only, no helm or buckler. Otherwise,
I would also remove the one-handed, two-handed spears because that's what's throwing you off.
Mm-hmm.
You can just change that when you go.
Or you can just when you're not using it, just put it as dropped.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because it's like you're carrying 2 spears and 2 swords, and that really doesn't help.
That's fine. It's no matter here. All right, so next up is actually going to be Zypher.
Okay.
Why is this sheet?
So
roll d12.
How do you roll in this?
The
Roll,
same way.
right?
It's just /R. 1d12.
Wait, dude, are you?
1d12.
1 minute.
Just in the chat window.
1 minute, huh? No, I'm doing that. It said I lost connection.
Yeah, I keep getting the lost
mine,
connection as well.
mine just said that too. Now it went away.
Yeah.
It's not.
Hopefully something's not wrong.
You gotta refresh. Refresh fixes it. But then it happened to me again. Right away, though.
Might be something with their servers.
Okay, let me try that now.
Yeah, I'm not getting a menus pop. I don't get any menus.
So, 2.
I just lost it again.
Yeah, same here.
Same.
Yeah, for some reason it says game paused.
It'll say that. Off.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. I just unpause it.
Okay.
2 is ill choices. If the roll fails, the target gains 1 shadow point.
Ooh. Nice.
So, let's do this. What would cause you dread? Have you seen some things in the past that have... I'll let you come up with a scenario. It seems to be working for me now again.
Not for me. I can't pull up my sheet to make rolls.
No.
Oh, come on.
This has never done this for me in weeks of having Foundry. It's never lost connection like this.
Do you need to reset the main server? Because it's not your internet connection or anything, right? Because I can hear you and everything, so...
Yeah, but I'm hosting Foundry through somebody.
Yeah, the Forge.
Forge, and I've never had this happen.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, okay. Maybe Forge is having a problem then. 1 minute, let me refresh my screen.
Yeah, it comes back for a little bit. I've been fine for a minute, but...
Yeah, but now I can't open a sheet anymore.
Yeah, you need to refresh. When you see that message, you have to refresh.
So now let's try.
Because right now it's only showing me and Zypher in the room. There you go.
Okay, now everybody's there. Okay, now I can open my sheet. Okay, so now what are you saying? I rolled a 2, so if I fail, I'll get a shadow point, correct?
Yeah, so hunting.
Okay, so I have to roll hunting first, so let me roll that.
Hey! There you go.
Hey.
Everybody still gets
Yes.
2 fatigue. But tell me, like something you could have done, either whether it's fishing or dealing with the men, where you could have, I don't know, maybe you almost got in a fight with the men or something like this. Up to you.
Wait, fight to the men? So is that a failure or a success?
It's a success.
Okay, cool. So while Hallis is on the lookout and Targon is helping Aldarion with the navigation, Baranor is like giving commands to the people to start getting the nets ready. And as he's getting the nets ready, he starts to sing a song. Woke up this morning, wanting to eat. Nothing in the pantry but cold, dirty feet. I'm gonna go fishing or jump in the ocean. Thinking about nothing but fish in my belly. Catch a real big one, a big speckled ocean trout. Snapping in the water, I'll pull the trout out. Tell me a story while I go fishing. I'm going to go fishing. Catch me a trout.
Your song raises the spirits of the men aboard, staving off the shadow, at least for a while.
And then with that, Baranor kind of commands them to throw the the net into the ocean in a direction where there seems to be a lot of fish jumping and some long-range ocean birds flying overhead. The net kind of falls right in the right spot where there's a big school of fish. And he says, "Now, men, now! Start hauling it in! Start hauling it in now! That's a great catch!
Listen!
Do it! Do it!"
Listen to Baranor! Harthon says. Baranor of many fishes! And then Saldana kind of pops up. And 30 feet!
Hildaner, with your knees! Remember, with your knees and not your back.
He heaves at the net strains, and as it comes up, it's full of flopping fish. Oh! Baranor! We'll all eat well tonight. If only you could have shot a stag. And they all laugh.
Soon, Sildana, soon, when we make landfall, you shall eat all the stag that your stomach can contain.
Very nice.
And Baranor kind of looks up to where Targon is standing with Aldarion and kind of gives him a wink.
Yeah, Targon's actually looking a little bit downcast at the moment, but he cheers up when he sort of sees and hears this, and nods to his brother and smiles.
Well, let's not roll a d6. The other two have had a chance. So I want to give you a chance to redeem yourself, Targon. Roll.
Okay.
Is it Explorer? Is that what it was?
Explore?
Yeah, Scout Explorer. Yep.
Okay, let's hope it's better than...
Let's roll
hope
a
it's better than last time.
d12 first here. So
Okay.
you know on the events table. 10. Chance meeting. And everybody gets 2 fatigue from that last one too. Chance meeting. If the roll succeeds, no fatigue is gained, and the lore master improvises an encounter favoring the company. Oh, this will be good. This will be good.
Okay, let's give it a try. So, explore. That's where it's going to go. There it is. Come on. Come on. Ah.
No.
Yours isn't favored, is it?
Darn
Your
it.
explorer's not favored.
No, it's not. It's not.
All right, so
It wasn't a bad roll.
everybody just gains 1 fatigue.
So to be sure, right now we are at 7 fatigue, correct?
I think 5, isn't it?
Yep,
5, okay.
2, 2, and 1.
5 travel fatigue. So the you're getting towards the end of the journey. It's starting to wear on you. Targon, how did you fail?
Yeah, so Targon's been a little preoccupied. He's starting to, having had this ironclad certainty that he's kind of, he's lived a virtuous life and he's destined to, he and his brother will restore the fortunes of their house. And he's got his way of going about it, and his brother's got his way, and he's starting to feel that maybe his certainty's shaken. He's missed his first opportunity, and he's a little shaken by this. So he's just off, and as they're poring over the charts and doing the calculations, he's a little distracted, and that just sets him off enough that he makes a small mistake. It's not massive, but it's just enough to set their course off a little bit. So that other ship that they would have met, they sail past it and it's out of sight.
Very good. Let's make you guys huge there. Getting the next slide set up, guys. Bear with me. way you select and move things on here. I'm still not really great at it.
Oh, bless you.
That's all right, thank you. I do have a handy little macro for resizing stuff, so. So as you get closer and closer to Vinyalondë, eventually, one night, far, far off in the distance, you can see sparkling lights, kind of in the distance, like there's a lighthouse or maybe some houses up on a high cliff or a hill that you can see. But even as that happens, Hallis, you're up in the crow's nest. The wind starts to pick up, and immediately rain starts to just come down, just starting to pelt the deck of the ship.
Alias has seen the rain. Thought they were clear of the storm. Looks around. I thought we were cleared of the storm. What happened?
Kind of Harthon kind of yells up. He's kind of bailing water over the side. There's a different storm. There's more than one storm on the Belargaer. Hallis, you may have navigated us around the first one, but I think Baranor's brother might have headed us straight into this one.
So be it then. He stands bravely on the crow's nest, getting soaked, holding on to the side, to the mast.
What's Baranor doing? Baranor and Targon.
Go ahead, Targon.
Yeah, Targon heard the shout from where he's standing quite near the prow, because he was out there trying to catch sight of these, catch sight of shore as soon as the lookout saw anything, and he was straining his eyes to see anything, and then he kind of heard that shout, and he's facing away from everyone because he's at the bow of the ship facing forwards, but Baranor can see Targon's shoulders just slump. He tries not to show it, but Baranor knows him well enough to see that he really feels that.
What is it that you say, Hathon? Do you wish to shy away from the first sign of trouble on our journey?
I talk much, Baranor.
Does a little rain bother you, my friend?
He laughs, and like a big salt spray just decks him on the floor. He falls down and cracks his face against one of the posts. And as the shift lists, he kind of grabs onto a rope before he gets washed over to the side. Ha! It seems my words have already made their wrath felt on my person, Baranor. I shall speak no more ill of your brother.
We shall no more speak ill of anyone. We are here together in this ship. Our dice are cast. Our fate is made. It is just but a little rain. Do we not have songs about her too? Have we forgotten who we are? Have we forgotten what we are capable of?
Indeed we do.
Stand tall, men of Numenor. Stand strong.
I'm strong. As strong as and then you hear a crack, and the mast that he's holding onto just gives away, and he starts to slide into the water. He grabs another rope. Baranor, quick! Help!
Baranor goes chasing towards Harton.
Uh,
Not so quick, you old fool.
Give me athletics. If you wanted to help him, if you fail, you would actually will get a wound on this one plus d6 worth of endurance loss. You guys have hope. You guys remember it? You have hope.
Yeah, how do we use hope here?
Yep. It just adds an extra skill dice.
Question.
Okay.
Would this happen to be the mast that Halus was on top of the crow's nest on?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. It cracks. Harthon sliding into the shark-infested waters, and Baranor dashes across the soaked deck, sliding, trying to help him.
So wait, how do I add an additional? I'm going to use that one hope that we had, right?
Oh, yep. You get an additional hope. Yep. So.
Yep. So I had an additional hope, so I'm going to use that. And how do I modify my roll with that?
And then see a bonus penalty. Just click one to the right.
One to the right. Okay. Bonus penalty. Yep.
Success. Yes. So no wound, no damage to you. Show me how you kind of rescue him.
Yep. So as that mast breaks, Baranor looks up to see Halus, and he knows what's going to happen. But in the meantime, Harton is almost over the side of the boat. Baranor the Swift comes running across the midship, and he gets to the side rail. Harton is almost over. Baranor kind of, jumps, holds the side rail, jumps to the side of the ship, just as Harton is kind of falling over, grabs him by his left hand, and in that same motion with that one hand as the anchor on the side rails, basically swings them both back up onto the ship, like a trapeze artist, and they both land, Baranor on his feet, Harton on his ass.
Yeah, he lands just...
Old man!
Yes!
Not so easy.
Never let an ill word be spoken about Baranor the Nimble. You actually could have invoked your Nimble trait or whatever you have and given yourself an extra bonus.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. In the meantime, that mast that snapped was the one that Halus was on. And lightning fills the air as this thing starts to sway back and forth. Halus, the last thing you hear is that horrible crack. And then the next thing you see is the deck of the boat rushing towards you. Same thing with you. Give me athletics.
Oh, we're going to do a superhero landing the hard way.
And you have hope to spend as well.
Is there a way to assist in this game?
There is.
So when does hope come back? If I spend it.
Well, you and Baranor have an extra one from hearing Irindis sing. But it comes back after a long rest. A little bit comes back during the fellowship phase. It comes back. There are certain things that can make it come back.
So I should use it, and that gives me a bonus dice, right? No, a hope bonus die. There it is. So I'll use that spare one I got, since this is no longer favored.
No.
Oh no.
Yeah, I would like to assist in a negative towards me. I'm assuming that if he fails, it's going to be pretty bad for him, right?
1d6 endurance loss.
But still, it's just who Baranor is, right? Like, he doesn't care about consequences, more about the protection of his company.
Yeah, sure.
So
what do you do?
What could I do to? As I see, like, Halus kind of coming tumbling down to the ground, right? Not to the ground, sorry, to the midship, to the deck. Baranor looks around and sees that there are still some ropes hanging from the sails. So he's basically going to kind of use that to kind of swing and potentially throw a rope or try and like grab Hallis as he goes by. I shall use my nimble and I shall use a hope die to try and catch him.
It's ill-favored. We'll try to throw some spicy different rolls in for learning purposes. Ill-favored. So when you do it now, so you roll it, and then see favored, ill-favored. Just toggle that.
Wait, so I'll roll. First it's athletics, correct?
Yep. Athletics, and then when you roll it, there's a little toggle up the top. Says favored, best, worst.
Yep.
Hit worst.
Hit worst, okay. And then I will use one hope, so that's one bonus die. And I will use the nimbleness, so that's second bonus die. So two bonus dice. And feet is on worst.
Yep.
And here we go. Yes!
Huh.
Yes!
That only rolled.
You needed all of it.
That only rolled one of them, didn't it? Did it roll? It only rolled one feet die.
Yeah.
Let me try something, guys. Just I'm just going to roll something just for.
But if anything worse, the only thing worse would have been a eye,
Worst.
because anything else would have succeeded still.
Right. I'm just trying to figure out how to make a ill-favored roll. So worst.
So it was not ill-favored. Ill-favored didn't get...
Ill-favored basically rolled 2 feet dice and you keep the worst one. Yeah.
Oh, but in this case it only rolled 1 feet die.
I'm just trying to figure out. I figured if you...
It worked. It worked because you only got 8. Otherwise, if it was best, you would have had 11 on that one.
It only rolled 1 feet die though. Look at it.
Yeah, only 1 feet die. Didn't roll 2 feet die.
Is your is one of them favored?
No.
Yeah, so I rolled athletics, but athletics is not favored for me.
But an ill-favored roll, you still roll 2 feet. You just keep the worst one. I'm trying to figure out how, when you make that roll, how you make that happen, because there is a section in the roll that says favored or ill-favored.
You have to click the feet dice. So if you look at where it says favorite, ill-favored, if it's favored, it's highlighted, right? If it's not favored, it's not highlighted.
That didn't work. So watch,
So I just rolled mine, and I put worse, and I clicked the thing, and I got 12.
Why did that only roll? What?
Mine worked.
Oh no, that
So
rolled,
what he-
202.
Well, no, I clicked the feet dice, right? Because it's not favored, so it only should have rolled 1. But I clicked the unhighlighted feet dice to highlight it. Then I switched it to worse, so I rolled 2 dice.
Okay.
Otherwise, it still would have been 1.
I see. So if you have to do ill-favored on a non-favored skill check, you have to click the feet dice before moving it into worst.
Okay, that makes. Okay,
Yes.
I see now. All right.
That makes sense. Okay, cool.
So to fix that for him, I would just have him roll another D12 and see if it
just
comes
roll,
up a
roll /R 1DF.
1DF.
So he had the worst one.
Yep, you had the worst one, so you still would have passed.
So I still have passed,
Yeah.
right? Okay, cool. So as Hallis is kind of hurtling down, Baranor screams up to him, "Hallis, you having fun yet?"
Seeing Baranor swinging out towards him, he'll kind of feel a sense of ease knowing that his friend is there, and if they fall together, if he grabs them, they'll surely come away unscathed. But if all else fails, they are falling together, and he'll reach out his hand for him. Ah, joy to see, brother.
And Baranor reaches out with his hand as well, and they kind of do like that whole, that forearm clasp, and kind of Baranor swings Hallis towards the deck as he kind of slides down the rope himself.
Nice.
And then he screams back at his brother, "Targon, you couldn't have picked a better storm to have fun in."
And Targon has trouble hearing him over the storm, and then turns back and sees what's happening, and goes pale and comes rushing towards them, kind of skidding slightly along the deck because he's not as nimble as Baranor. And he, when he gets there, he kind of clasps Talus by the shoulders and says, "Were you on that?" And he looks at the broken mast and says, "Baranor, did you, how?" And he sort of stumbles over his words for a bit, and then just folds Baranor in a brief, tight hug, and pounds him on the back, and then says, "Well done, my brother." And then he's kind of looking around, waiting to see what else is going to go wrong with the ship.
Elias will slap Targon on the shoulder. The only way to be successful on a journey is to fail and learn. The worst case scenario, we would have failed. Rolled around the deck, maybe swept out to sea. Lived, died. If we lived, we learned.
And Targon smiles at him and says, I like this. And even our greatest failures are a moment from which we can learn. Yes. And he starts making his way across the slipping deck. He's now aware of just how bad things are with the ship, and he's watching out for anyone else in trouble and trying to make his way back to Aldarion.
And it's not only your ship in trouble, Targon. The deck is listing left and right. It's awash in blood, and you actually see one man get swept overboard by a giant wave, and then you hear another crack as a ship to your left starts to be like breaking up, getting sundered into many pieces and falling beneath the waves. Give me an awareness roll.
Ooh. Okay. Awareness.
Great success!
Great success.
You
Hey,
see,
I finally succeeded.
to your right, there's a lightning flash, and another ship to your right just disintegrates, and it looks like all the jetsam is just like careening right towards your ship.
And Targon grabs hold of the rail and yells to everyone, "Brace! Brace! Make ready to swim!"
And what they do, that everybody kind of looks up, and everybody is able to like get to a railing or the stump of a mast or something to hold on to, just as soon as like the ship is just rocked by a bunch of jetsam, and there's a giant hole in the starboard side of the ship. The ship starts to list down to the starboard. Aldarion, on me, men! Below decks, spill water!
Yeah, Targon goes charging in that direction.
Baranor goes charging in that direction as well. Alice, with me! We need to save the ship.
Alice is kind of like looking at himself and, yes. I don't think anybody wants to swim in this weather. And he starts running as well, slipping along.
As you guys go below deck, slipping and sliding down the steps, a lot of the goods are floating in the water. The water is already up to mid-thigh down below deck, and you see a giant rent in the hull with just the ocean starting to pull in. It's not below, like the area where there's a hole. It's like whenever the ship kind of lists to starboard, it like gets a bunch of water, and then it kind of like buoys back up. And so it's not going down quickly, so you guys are going to have to be creative to try to fix this problem.
Is there any like, how big is the hole?
It's not giant. It's like probably size like upper man, like the upper body of a man.
Okay.
Is it a hole, or is it like a bunch of pushed-in boards?
Yeah, it's like if you imagine like a big like a log or something just like punctured into it.
Yep. Makes sense. Baranor looks to Targon and Hallis. We need to plug that hole before it's too late. And with that, Baranor kind of tries to like start helping with like throwing the water out of the hole. Every time the ship lists, that's when the water comes in. But before it does, we have some time to like maybe use some of this wood around and plug it, at least stem the leak.
Yeah, Ilias is going to be looking for a cask. That way he can take parts from a cask and try to plug the hole with it.
Make sure it's not the brandy, Hallis.
Targon's racking his brains to remember if the ship had a carpenter, because if so, he might have some, hammer and nails around or something we can use to kind of, if we do get some wood, to actually kind of hold it in place over the patch. So he's going looking for that.
Yeah, Hearthon is actually, he has two in craft, so he's down right like by you guys. Like half of his teeth have been knocked out from that fall, but he's working right along with Baranor and Halid. He has a mallet out and like some long kind of 6-7 inch nails, kind of trying to tack down whatever he can as the water's pulling in.
Baranor screams at Targon, "Targon, is any of that mast still up there? Maybe we can use that to brace the cover to the hole and the bottom of the ship."
And Targon thinks for a moment and says, "Not the mast, but some of the rail was splintered." And he goes up looking for any broken bits of the rail, because the mast is probably a little bit too big to be manageable to carryable. But if he can find anything broken on the ship, and if not, he'll go and maybe break a bit off the cabin wall. If there's like a stern castle or something, break a bit of that wall, or pry a bit of the door loose or something, just to get a sort of flattish piece of wood that he can take down with him.
As you go up,
If you have to, take some of the seat ups and some hatches.
Aye, says Targon as he goes rushing up, and he'll grab a hatchet on his way up if he can see one.
you grab a hatchet on your way up, and you see men running this way, sliding around the deck. As the lightning strikes, it illumines this angry sea, and you see the scene of Aldarion at the helm, kind of holding steady a course. And it seems to you, Targon, it seems to you as if the sea is red, as the waves are almost filled with blood and wrathful and angry. And if you look down into the water, it seems like there are locks of golden hair kind of curling in the waves, splashing this way and that. And you hear Aldarion kind of singing a loud song up into the night sky, singing of someone called Ose and his bride Uinin. Uinin, Uinin, your blessing be upon us, for calm waves and water. Please still the wrath of thine husband. We are of Westernesse, and come hither to Middle-earth on a journey of peace. Please, I beseech thee. And he, again, like the water and storm just continues to rage around you. Give me an awareness check.
Yeah, and as Targon's going, he'll be calling out the same names. Awareness. Okay. Ugh. No, there's too much going on.
Roll a 1.
He's
roll 1d6. You take only one endurance loss, so you can tell you what happens. Like maybe something slaps at your leg or whatever.
Yeah, so he Targon's going to make his way across deck, and he's kind of watching Aldarion. He's heading for the sort of cabin door, and he's really focused on that. And as he does, he kind of the ship lists, and he's right in the middle of the deck, and he just slides straight across the deck and smacks his arm and thigh into the side rail quite hard.
But yeah, you're able to be up there, and as you're watching Aldarion do this and listening to his song and looking into this mystical change in the waves, you're able to gather several planks of wood.
Great. What I'll do is I'll grab a sailor who looks kind of confused, or he's like he's not doing anything too purposeful. Grab him and kind of yell out, "Help me, man!" Thrust one of the boards into his hands. I'll take the rest, and then we'll head back.
Behind you, Targon! I'm right behind you!
Targon spins around.
Actually, as you spin around, a wave takes him right over the edge, right in front of you. "Help me!" he says, and just, it gets sucked down beneath the waves.
Could I lunge for him as he goes and try and grab him?
Yeah, sure. Athletics ill-favored. Let's see if this works.
Okay, can I use a hope die?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I just take one off my hope?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, I just realised I was doing the wrong thing with endurance. Give me a sec.
Let's see if this works.
5. Okay, so I'm going to roll athletics, and it's ill-favoured. I add a feat die, and add a hope die.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey!
Oh.
What's it look like as you save him from certain death?
Yeah, so as he gets swept over, swept past me, Targon actually lets himself get swept along a little bit too. So he's traveling at a similar speed, and he's just able to grab just a bit of the guy's sleeve and then his arm. And as the guy goes over the rail, he just kind of jams the boards he's carrying against the rail, and jams one foot against one of the posts at the side of the ship, and just kind of pushes, and it manages slowly to just haul the guy back overboard, kind of timing his heaves with the swaying of the ship. And just as the ship lifts back towards him, he gets a final heave and pulls the man back on board.
Targon! I will be ever in your debt, and ever grateful. Below deck, behind you, and this time I will not be swept into the sea.
And Targon's too exhausted to reply, but he nods to him and heads below deck.
He arrives below deck carrying a load of lumber with this guy behind him. And in the meantime, Baranor and Hallis are just soaking wet, up to their waist in water now, doing their best to patch this hole. Take it away.
Yeah, so Targon comes stumbling, looking exhausted, across deck, carrying a load of boards with broken ends, and as he reaches you, he gasps, "Take heart. I hope these are large enough." And he kind of hands one to Harthen, and then picks another one up and puts it against the hole himself and tries to brace himself to hold it there long enough for Harthen to nail it into place.
You know, and as they're doing that, Baranor is kind of screaming on top of his lungs. And it's almost like he is singing a song to keep the momentum going, to keep everybody in that state of just working on this problem and trying to forget about everything that's happening around them. With me, men, with me. Focus on the task for what we have in hand, and let be what is we cannot control. Speak back to the sea, speak back. From strength to strength we must sometimes go, even when we are sinking low. In the shadow of the ocean, while it may loom high above our head, we need not fear what lies ahead. For the word has been clearly said, our faith in our captain, our faith in our brother is sufficient to make this ocean disappear. Speak back to the ocean, you shall not triumph over me. Speak back to the ocean, speak with authority, that I shall claim victory. And with that he kind of starts going at hammering the woods back.
Alice, how are you helping out?
Yeah, Alice is finding nice debris that is the size of the hole, and while hammering, he's trying to hold it against the incoming water.
Baranor, I'm gonna let you role play what looks like as you guys help Hearthon patch up this hole, and suddenly it's almost as if the sea starts to calm, and you see through the cracks of the ship the first rays of the morning light start to rise.
Look yonder, men. Our fight is coming to an end. The sun rises on us. Our travails are soon over. Do not stop. Do not stay. Keep at it. For our captain, for our brothers. Do not stop. Do not stay.
Targon seems to take heart at that as well, and as he's kind of holding stuff in place and shoving against the sea, he yells out, "For Numenor!"
For Numenor! And Baranor kind of screams back with him, and it's kind of like, it almost looks like a frenzy now in which he's working to stop the ocean from coming in.
And stop the deluge does. Eventually, with one last nail, the water stops pouring in from the outside, and you even notice that light coming through the boards. And as you go upstairs, like there's a light peeking over the horizon. And as you kind of crest the deck, you can see seagulls wheeling off in the distance.
As they make their way up to the main deck, Baranor is the last one up. As he's about to head up, he sees a barrel floating by, and he kind of smirks to himself. He knows what it is. He quickly scoops it up and makes his way to the top of the deck. We have triumphed! Aldarion, our captain, we have triumphed.
He kind of...
And with that, he kind of cracks open the barrel and smiles at everyone.
Aldarion turns, "Well deserved, men!" He's still at the helm, like half the wheel is broken, and Aldarion has one of his eyes swollen shut as he's been buffeted by debris in the storm. Well deserved, well deserved. That journey was nigh too boring. I've never crossed Belargaer without some sort of storm. Is everybody okay?
Targon is looking out over the what remains of the fleet, and says, and kind of looks back at Aldarion and says, "How many did we lose, my lord?"
And he kind of looks around at some of the stations that are empty. Too many, Dorgun. Too many.
Then we drink not just to our salvation, but also to their memory. They died bravely. They died as men of Numenor.
And Baranor kind of looks around and realizes the somber mood. To the men of Numenor, hear, hear.
Yes. To the men of Numenor, the ones that are here and the ones that are no longer here.
cheer goes up. To Westernesse! To Vinyalondë! To the shores of Middle-earth! And a new day for Numenor.
And with that, Baranor starts like distributing the brandy to everyone on deck. Help them feel warm again. The sun has just risen, but the rays are not yet strong enough to warm everyone. Have some, men, have some. Warm those bones.
Yes. But if you thought that was full of freight, the journey is just starting again.
Aye, but on land, our foes are ones we can fight with arms. And Targon looks kind of grimly determined, but there's almost a hint of a smile playing on his lips. If on land someone wishes to take our companions from us, then, well, we shall have a thing or two to say about it.
And when Targon says that, Baranor makes his way to his brother, hands him a cup full of brandy. We shall have a thing or two to say about it. And with that, Baranor smiles, winks, and takes a big swig of the brandy.
Targon does the same.
The broken and battered ship limps into the port of Vinyalondë as white seabirds wheel overhead. Again, the weather has turned fair, and the port is almost like glass. You can see the reflections of the tall Nemorian ships as they all enter the port, minus a couple, those that were lost below the crashing waves of the sundering seas, and will rest there until the end of days. Looking back out at sea, it's almost as if you can see tendrils of blonde flowing hair kind of receding back into the west as the seas have been calmed and your vessels are guided safely into the harbor. Unless somebody has something else, your ships all enter the harbor, and Aldarion and his crew are all welcomed as heroes as they are oft-are as they visit Middle-earth. This Numenorian settlement has grown quite extensively over the last 100 years, and here you'll find all the niceties that you're used to. And I'm going to activate one last slide. As the sun sets the next night in Vinyalondë and you guys all make landfall. Is there anything else?
No. Baranor is just sitting somewhere on the ship, looking out back towards Numenor, swigging brandy, sitting on a railing and swinging his legs, and singing some song from deep in his memory, enjoying the evening.
Yes, Alias is doing the same. For as he loves the sea, he loves the land as well. And he loves the brandy that comes with it. For he knows that the journey is, again, just beginning as well. He intends to fully soak it all in.
Targon is one of the first to make his way to the gangplank to go ashore. His mood is somewhere in the middle of the extremes it kind of swung to during the voyage. It's not the blind optimism with which he set out, and nor is it the the downcast moment that he had when he failed his first opportunity to impress his lord. But it's now, there's a firmness of purpose there, a determination. And he seems to have realized that, you know, things aren't just going to happen for him because he's pure of heart. You know, he's got to make things happen if he wants to improve things for his house. But he's realized that, you know, he's actually seen in action that if he and his brother and his friends work together, then they can do great things. And it's that determination that shines in his eyes as he sets his first foot upon the shores of Middle-earth.
We'll call it a day.
Woohoo!
I've stopped the recording.
Nice. Thank you for playing.
I've